Hey, welcome into the Big Ten Huddle presented by FanDuel. We are here reacting to the end of the Michigan State game. Got it here in the middle. We were sitting here thinking, well, we'll do our Big Ten power rankings after Michigan scores in the fourth quarter. And if they stop Michigan State and then Michigan State keeps coming back into it, and we're like, well, we might as well wait until the end. So while we wait, we already have our power rankings made for the scenario that we think will happen. But while we wait, we are going to sit here and pretty much just react to the game. We have the score here in the middle, and I'm sure everybody in the comments will have many reactions as well. I think we can rely on that, right, Zach?
Are people in the chat having reactions?
Yep.
Never.
But we will get to all the Big Ten power rankings and everything later on. We're gonna react to this game first. So, what have been your thoughts on the Michigan State game so far, Zach?
I think there's honestly been good moments for both teams. Like, I think there have been moments where I think Childs has played well. I think there have been moments where Michigan State's defense has played well. I think there have been moments, obviously Justice Haynes, again, just proves to be a dude. I think the drive coming out of the second half was the tone setter, right? Haynes had 2 carries for 48 yards. There's the first 2 carries of that drive for 48 yards, and they capped it off with a touchdown. I think Michigan's really starting to round into form. And that's going to be my takeaway. I know people will talk about the egregious refereeing again.
It's every game this year, man. I mean, right? It's
awful. And I think this is a rabbit trail that we don't need to go down, but Terry McAulay was defending the official that was suspended from the SEC. He's like the head official that they talked to on this broadcast. And I'm like, dude, it's worse than it's ever been. There has to be accountability. So, like, I get that you're the head guy and you want to protect your tribe, but this is stupid and it needs to be fixed.
Oh,
and
fight.
There have been many fights also. But it's back to the game. I know there are people in both fan bases that want their coaches fired. I like Jonathan Smith. I thought there were good things that happened with the team tonight, and I think there were good things that happened that Sharon Moore did tonight. So,
they called that unsportsmanlike conduct on Michigan State. Probably because he got over him. That's why. They would have been okay with it if you didn't stand over him. I was gonna say call him a dummy, but I shouldn't call people dummies. Let's see who we have here in the chat with us. Max says, I know this wasn't a Big Ten game, but did anyone see the miracle comeback by Kent State today? Down 21-3, 8:47 left in the third quarter. Zach, did you see it?
I mourned because they're not going to call me to be the head coach after that win. I'm not going to be the Kent State head coach.
Yeah, you have to see. Yeah, you have to see the worst of the worst before you hire Zach Guggenheim as your head coach. Which, to be fair, Kent State may have seen the worst of the worst in college football, just not today. No, I did not see that, Max, but that's crazy. I'll have to go back and watch that one. Rafe says, Rutgers, I'm back. Can we talk about the ending of that game really fast?
I didn't see it. I was tracking it on my phone.
Oh, you didn't see it?
I was tracking it on my phone, so I didn't get a chance to see it.
Oh, Ryan Brown threw it and it hit off the Rutgers defender. He caught it in the backfield and he started trying to run with it, and then he fumbled it. And Rutgers got it like late. I mean, I think there was like less than a minute left in the fourth quarter in field goal range. They kicked the field goal and they won.
I can't imagine,
fans, but it was really funny.
I can't imagine if our friends from Boiler Express, DK and Russ, if they were at the game. I
was planning on asking DK to come on around the Big Ten, but I don't know. After that, I don't know if I would.
So that's just painful.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, poor Purdue fans. But hey, Rafe's happy. Rutgers won. He said it was do or die, and they didn't die.
Yeah. Good. Well,
They didn't do either, but they didn't die. I'm just
well,
joking.
and to be fair, it was. I'm trying to remember. They were down 10-0 and then like 17-7.
Hmm.
So like they had to come back on the road. And I know people will say, "Oh, Purdue's no good," but dude, going to Ross-Ade when you are fighting for your life, like your bowl game life, I again, we don't give enough credit to Rutgers, and I know people will look at it and be like, "Oh, it's just a win on the road at Purdue." Yeah, it was a win on the road in the Big Ten, and I think they deserve props.
Yeah, I'm gonna put them above Purdue in my power rankings.
Mhm.
There you go. Illini Bubba's here. He says, "I hate football." Sorry, Illini Bubba. That was a tough one today.
I'm sorry.
Aaron Henry might get fired, so there's like your silver lining, I guess.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, Max says he saw the episode where DK thought they were going 6-6. To be fair, it was a bold predictions episode.
Well, but
And to
there's
be fair, I also
bold.
made the bold prediction that Wisconsin would go 6-6. So we saw how that turned out.
There's bold takes, and then there's miracles.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it would have been a miracle for both those teams. Although I think, to be fair to you and DK, I think it was hard to know what Wisconsin and Purdue would be.
Mm-hmm.
And I just happened to be the pessimist of the group and saying, "Oh, they all stink." Uh, and
Holy
there's
crap!
one
Did Michigan
team.
State get the ball back?
Did they?
Yeah, they stripped Justice Haynes.
Wow.
They're down by 11 because they went for two. Stupid. Yeah. Yeah, Justice Haynes rush up the middle for 3 yards, fumbled. Michigan State got it.
Santiago with the fumble recovery.
Wow. You know, neither quarterback has played well in this game. Bryce Underwood, 8 for 17, 86 yards, no touchdowns. Aiden Childs, 14 for 27. He was like 3 for 12 at one point.
Eek. Yeah, they've been more effective as runners.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, that was a nice strike by Aiden Childs right there. Okay. All right. We got some trouble with the snap kind of magic going on right now.
Okay, that clip to me is always hilarious because of Sean McDonough's massive voice crack. And the ball is free.
He's got trouble with the snap. Ball is free.
And he scores on the last play of the game. He's great, but like I know I'm making fun of him, but Sean McDonough is a phenomenal play-by-play
He's
guy.
good when he's not crapping on the Big Ten.
Well, yeah.
I
Yeah.
still will never forget him last year when he said about Indiana, oh, they don't even belong here. And it's like, okay, first one. See what happens with Tennessee. Let's see what happens with, SMU.
Yep. And they all got crushed.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I have to say it because we just had Doug on our show, but maybe my favorite like journalism moment. And again, I like Sean McDonough. Like I think he does a great job. But Doug Maurice at the media coverage for the Sugar Bowl. It was Georgia, Notre Dame. He like cornered McDonough and like called him out on
Wow.
his take. And McDonough tried to walk it back, and Doug just did not have any of it.
Oh, yeah, Doug's not going to let that go. This is interesting. I didn't know this about you, Max. He says, I own a business in Ann Arbor and get more business when Michigan has a good football team. So I find myself cheering for Michigan every week, despite not being a fan of their program.
Oh, no, Michigan State. It went for it on fourth down. Sorry, going back to what you're saying, though. That's very cool, Max. So wait, Max, are you willing to share what you do, what your business
Yeah, do you
does?
own like a clothing? Yeah, I mean, if you are not comfortable, obviously don't share. But if you are comfortable with sharing, I would be interested to know like what it is you do. So, or like what kind of business you own. Because I could see it being like a merchandise or like something like that type of shop if there's like Michigan gear and stuff. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting.
I'm starring a couple comments because I think it's going to make for some good fodder for our power rankings.
I was gonna say we we are already getting into the hot take of the power rankings here a little bit. That we were hoping it would be discussed a whole lot more, which it's fine. They obviously can discuss it in the chat, but we
Yep.
probably won't bring it up until it's time.
Yep. All things at its proper time.
Mm-hmm.
Max, he owns many businesses,
Oh.
but that one is Karnak Maple Village, a dog boarding facility. Michigan fans travel and we take care of the dog.
That makes
Interesting.
sense. Yeah.
Mm,
Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
that is.
I would never have made that connection of dog boarding to like traveling to games, but
Yeah.
that makes sense. Hey, if Indiana's football team keeps being good, I need to open a dog boarding business here in Bloomington. Max, if you got any business tips for dog boarding, let me know. I don't know if I have time for dog boarding.
I say, JR, I was gonna say you're between ministry and podcasting. I think
my wife might
full.
Kill me.
Yeah, and your wife. Yeah. No,
the face she would give me if I went to her and said, "Honey, I'd like to open a dog boarding business."
Welcome to the Big Ten Huddle, where JR has been tied up and gagged for the next week.
JR, why are you podcasting from a storage room? Well, you see, I've been kicked out.
Okay, there's stat on the Michigan State game: 44 carries for 215 yards. That that's what they do. It's who they are.
Justice Haynes really is the entire offense right now. It's been kind of mind-boggling that Michigan hasn't been able to stop Mekhi Frazier. Because, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything we can take away too much from this game, right? This is one of those games where you kind of just throw everything out, and both teams are so crazy, into it.
I don't know if I agree, because I think here's the thing: is that Michigan can win when Underwood is off, which I think we kind of knew that already.
I think we knew that already, didn't we?
Yeah, but I think it's just further proof. And I think that what it means then is Underwood we've seen Underwood flash and have good games. So I think if anyone looks at this game and says, well, Michigan's not all that good, I would just say, I think they just, they're just much more variable. I think they're just much more variable, right?
Yeah.
So I think their ceiling is that they can compete at the top end. It's just, it's going to take a lot. He's going to be very inconsistent, which we knew, but I'm still more encouraged by Michigan after this performance than I was before.
Maybe. I'm not as encouraged by the defense because they're allowing so many rushing yards and stuff to Michigan State. And I thought going into this one, I mean, you and I picked it. I thought Michigan would score 31, and a lot of it would be Bryce Underwood throwing the ball around because I just don't believe in Michigan State secondary all that much. But that's not been the case at all.
Yeah.
So, Bull is here. Appreciate you being here, Bull. He says college ball parity is becoming NFL light.
Don't tell that to Indiana.
I was gonna say I don't agree with all of the parity talk that you get from the SEC and stuff because they're trying to make you believe that they still have national championship contenders and the middle of them all just got that much better. So I do agree that there is more parity now. Obviously, I mean we're talking about Iowa, beating Oregon, that's more parity than we've probably seen in the past few years. I mean Iowa's had their years here and there, but it's over. Justice Haynes.
Oh, no, that's Marshall.
Oh, Marshall. I just saw him running down the sideline and thought, and he does the Paul Bunyan pose.
We're
going to get yelled at again if we mess up the trophy.
Yeah. Where's the axe? Where's the axe? I'm not smart.
Doreen reposted the stream. Thank you for doing that, Doreen. Doreen's awesome. Always coming in here. helping us out. Appreciate you, Dorian.
Thanks, Dorian. We appreciate it. All right, 31-13. Should we break out the power rankings?
Yeah. I think we should.
Okay.
I'll have to restart the show so that way I can get it ready for the podcast. So let me bring us together.
Ooh.
And then we'll do it. So all right. Okay. Ready?
Let's do it.
Okay. Let me start my music. It's great production right now. It's not moving. Oh well. Well, never mind. Maybe I won't get it. All right. I don't get the music. All right. Here we go. Hey, and welcome into the Big Ten Huddle. We appreciate you being here. We are presented and brought to you by FanDuel. Go on over to FanDuel and check out all the odds and everything. Even if you're not a bettor, it is still interesting to go over there, see what the public is thinking and what people are looking at and the odds of what's going on out there. We'll reference them a couple times in the show, but in this show, we are looking at the Big Ten football power rankings. After a crazy week, Iowa destroys Minnesota. Oregon struggles with Wisconsin. Michigan pulls it out late. Well, pulls it out late. They sealed it late, I guess you could say, against Michigan State. And overall, tons of craziness in college football. We'll talk the Big Ten, and who knows, we might have some shots at the SEC here at the end. You know how we do. Zach, thanks for being here. Should we get to the power rankings right away?
Yes, I think we should.
All right. Here we go. Here are me and Zach's power rankings. If you're watching on Twitter, YouTube, you can see it. If you're listening on podcast, I'm going to go ahead and list mine really fast, and then I'll have Zach list his. We'll kind of give our short thoughts here and there and get into it. I have Ohio State number 1, not moving. Indiana number 2. There's some commotion about them possibly being number 1. I get it, but I'm just going to keep them there until we see the Big Ten championship game. I have Oregon at number 3. Even though they struggled against Wisconsin, I still think the talent of this Oregon team, I think every team has a struggle now and then. It just happens. Number 4, Michigan. Michigan looked good in this game against Michigan State. Not in every area, but Justice Haynes and Jordan Marshall both rushing over 100 yards in the game. Bryce Underwood needs to be better, but still looked good getting the win. Iowa, number 5. They looked really, really good against Minnesota. We'll talk about them plenty. Number 6, USC. Washington gets the win over Illinois, so I put them above Illinois. Number 7, Illinois. Number 8. Number 9, Minnesota. Number 10, Nebraska, followed by Northwestern, UCLA, Penn State, Maryland, Rutgers, Michigan State, Purdue, and Wisconsin. Zach, your rankings.
Yes, I was not here a week ago, so these are fresh from 2 weeks ago. Indiana, number 1. I have not changed that.
I say you had them there 2 weeks ago. So
yeah, so that's the same. Ohio State, number 2, same. Here's my big change, and this is what we're going to talk about. I've got Iowa, me as the self-proclaimed Iowa hater, self-proclaimed Kirk Ferentz, take him out to retirement man. I have them at number 3. Oregon 4, SC at 5, Michigan at 6, Washington at 7, Illinois 8, Nebraska 9, Maryland and Minnesota 10 and 11. I had a really tough time figuring out where to put them, where to place those teams. Northwestern at 12, UCLA 13, Rutgers 14, Penn State 15, and then rounding out the bottom 3, Michigan State, Purdue, Wisconsin.
Okay. I feel like we should touch on Ohio State, Indiana real quick, just rehash that conversation. Nothing's changed for you. Nothing's changed for me. I feel like you can kind of keep them there. I know it says 1 and 2, but really it's kind of 1A, 1B for me. I just want to see what they look like in the Big Ten championship game, which honestly kind of might be the national championship game, if we're being honest. Max says that he believes Indiana not that he believes, he knows Indiana hasn't beat Ohio State since 1988. Until that changes, Ohio State should be above Indiana when they both have the same record. Zach, what says you?
I just don't know if you should use historical, like it's about this season. And I think what Indiana has done this season is slightly better than Ohio State. But I understand putting Ohio State in front of Indiana based on their body of work this season as well. And so I think just taking historical evidence out of it, taking the national championship from a year ago out of it, I think you have a good argument either way for Indiana or Ohio State. I look at what Indiana has done, how they've played. I just think they have looked a hair more polished, which doesn't mean that Ohio State won't come back and beat Indiana if they play in the Big Ten championship game. But right now, based on what I've seen, Indiana is one.
Yeah, and I think you saw. Uh, you kind of saw this weekend that obviously being able to do the like same opponent. What's that whole term there? When you have the same opponent and one team beat that opponent by more than the other team, type of stuff, like that doesn't always translate.
Mhm.
It can be a good indicator sometimes, but matchups and when games are played are such a big thing that I don't think you can say like, well, Indiana killed Illinois, so they're over Ohio State because Ohio State only dominated. They didn't kill Illinois.
Mhm.
I didn't even say dominated. Illinois did some really good things in that game. But so I get that, but I still say I think Ohio State's the more talented team. And if Indiana had a crazy coaching advantage, I probably would put them over them. But at the same time, I also recognize that Indiana has played plenty of teams that are more talented than them on paper, and they've won. So
Mhm.
as far as I'm concerned, like I said, it's kind of a tie for me. I put them 1 and 2 there, but
Yeah.
I just want to see who wins the Big Ten championship game because
Yeah.
I think both those teams are going to be there.
Mhm.
So, all right, well, let's talk Iowa. Zach, this Iowa team, number 3, above Oregon. Man, what's your thought process here? Let's just start there. What's your thought process here?
So I've felt this way a little bit about Oregon. I think I said it when they played Penn State, and I continue to feel this way as I watch them play. Is I think they have elite pieces, but I don't think they are an elite team currently. And I saw that show up again against Wisconsin. Now, there was bad weather. Dante Moore got hurt, so he didn't come back to the game. At least I don't think he did. And there's wonky games, so I get that. I'm not saying that Oregon is a terrible team, but they just have not been super impressive over the past several weeks. And who they've played, you would think that they would at least get one or two big time wins. Now they did pulverize Rutgers. No offense to Rutgers, but I compare them to Iowa. What Iowa has done the past several weeks has been very impressive, right? They lose really close to Indiana, who we're saying Indiana's a top 2 team. Indiana, who beat Illinois by 53. Indiana, who went on the road and beat Oregon. They dominated Oregon, I think far more than they dominated Iowa. Iowa is really strong on the lines. Special teams are good. Defense is really good. And, we were talking about this pre-show. What is Iowa starting to do that they were not doing before? Throw the football and throw it fairly well. Now, when I say fairly well, it's Iowa fairly well. It's not Indiana fairly well or Ohio State fairly well. But we have said if Iowa can be good at offense and great or elite at defense and special teams, they are a dangerous team. And that's what we've seen against Minnesota, who's a decent team. What we saw against Wisconsin, which granted, not a great team, but they have been very, very good. And they gutted out a win against Penn State, who has talent. I know people will say, well, Penn State's not good. They're in their bottom third of your power rankings. But they still took Penn State's best shot after they rallied the troops and they came back and won that game. So I give them a lot of props.
I'm gonna say something, and it's gonna not sound like it's not going to sound right because Oregon hasn't done it either. So maybe I'm holding Iowa to a different standard. And I think it's fair to hold Iowa to a different standard because the history suggests that Oregon is better. The
Mhm.
talent suggests that Oregon is better. I want to see Indiana get the win outside of Kinnick, right? I want to see them get the big win outside of Kinnick. What did we
Yeah.
see when they traveled to Iowa State? They lost that game, right? I mean, what was the other loss they had? I'm blanking on it right
Indiana.
now.
Indiana.
Indiana, right?
At
Now they
home.
lost
At
at
home.
Kinnick to Indiana, but you could argue that they should have won that game if Mark
Mhm.
Gronowski didn't get hurt. I
Yeah.
think that your team needs to be more than one guy, but with the starting quarterback, it's also hard to, you know, to say
Yeah.
that. So I get it. So I still think Michigan is a more talented version of Iowa. I think right now, Mark Gronowski is a better quarterback than Bryce Underwood. If I'm doing my quarterback power rankings again, I'm moving Drake Lindsey way down and I'm moving Mark Gronowski way up. Honestly,
Mhm.
Mark Gronowski's probably 7 or 8 right now. I probably move him above Nico Iamaleava, which is kind of crazy, but the dude wins. He's the most winningest starting quarterback in all of college football, Mark Gronowski. So Kirk Ferentz, the most winningest Big Ten coach in all of Big Ten history, and we can argue, just longevity or whatever, but staying at a job for really long is still pretty impressive, even if it is Iowa who keeps their coaches around for a long time, which isn't a bad thing.
Mhm.
So I do think there are arguments for it, but for me, when I look at what typically wins you the game in college football, it's talent and it's coaching. I don't think Dan Lanning is a bad coach. I think Kirk Ferentz probably is a better in-game coach, decision maker, and stuff like that. But I think I trust an Oregon team still more than I do Iowa. But if you're going by resume, I can see what you're saying and putting Iowa
Yeah.
above them with how they've looked lately.
Yeah. Well, and I think to your point, I think there is an assumption. Assumption is not the right word. Presupposition that there are 3 elite teams in the Big Ten: Ohio State, Indiana, Oregon. And I think that makes sense because you look at the talent, you look at the results on the field. But I think, and I say this about myself, I have not been an Iowa believer. I I might pick Iowa to beat Oregon. And I honestly might pick them to beat USC at USC because the thing that travels, and this is where I understand what you're saying about winning outside of Kinnick, but the thing that travels is your offensive and defensive lines, which they have in spades. And I think they might kick the crap out of some of these teams because they have the advantage at the line of scrimmage. Now, I think SC has firepower that Iowa's going to have to deal with. Obviously, Oregon has firepower. Nebraska has firepower. Like those 2 road games, USC and Nebraska, that's going to be really tough. But Iowa just looked so good today. And I think people might be tempted to be like, well, Minnesota stinks. I don't think Minnesota stinks. I think they're good. I think they made Drake Lindsey look like a JV quarterback. And that's hard to do because I think Drake Lindsey is actually pretty good.
Yeah. Iowa won today 41-3. Mark Gronowski was 12 and 19. Michigan State just scored, by the way. 135 yards, 1 touchdown. Hecklinski was 1 for 1 for 6 yards, so he must have came in at the end. Kamar Moulton, 15 carries for 75 yards, and Mark Gronowski had another rushing touchdown, 9 carries for 24 yards. I mean, like, if you can promise me that Iowa gets either a pick six or a return for a touchdown against Oregon, yeah, I like it. I like Iowa to win that game, especially at Kinnick. But I don't know if I can bank on that. Like that's the hardest thing for me is like some of the stuff with Iowa, I want to bank on the sure thing, but I
Mhm.
don't know if I can bank on some of that stuff with Iowa. It's about as sure as a thing as it can be with them, but
Yeah.
and so there's people talking about wins in the chat. I think it was Fisherman said Oregon's best win is Northwestern. What's Iowa's best win? Minnesota?
It could be Minnesota. You could make an argument for talent. It could be Penn State. The thing that really kills Iowa and they've had to ramp up. And I think you have to recognize that teams progress throughout the season, but the loss to Iowa State kills them. Like it really it makes their playoff case reliant on winning out, which stinks. Because I think if they beat Iowa State, I think if they had beaten Iowa State in September, Iowa is probably a top 15 team at this point and solidly in the playoff conversation.
Oh man, I said it at the beginning of the whole thing. I said if you beat Iowa State, I believe in Iowa.
Yeah.
Like I was set to be an Iowa believer if they just beat Iowa State.
Yeah.
You know, and like I get it. Like I kind of went in on Kirk Ferentz after that game for, oh yeah, we improved. Mark Gronowski improved, and I get it, but at the same time, I don't know. It just there's certain stuff with that. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean Iowa. Even though I don't have them third like you, I totally agree. They could beat Oregon. I'm probably gonna pick Oregon to win that game, still, but I would not be surprised if Iowa wins it at all, because it is at Iowa. You could get a pick six. You could get a kick return for a touchdown. You could get a kick return and a punt return for a touchdown. For all we know, Caden Widgeon is really really good. So we'll see. Michigan, I have them 4. You have them at 6. Are you just trying to keep them below USC there because they lost to USC, or what's your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I think that's part of it. I also still think I think it's close, but I think you have to honor the big win of USC over Michigan. And I think Oregon's better than Michigan too. So I think they're firmly in the top third. And I think when they play their best, they could be one of the best teams in the country, but too inconsistent. And I think you have to honor their loss.
Mm-hmm. David says, someone please explain that ranking Michigan at number 4. Gladly, David. I think Michigan has one of the best defenses in the Big Ten. I think that Michigan knows who they are. They know who their identity is. They play their brand of football. I think that Bryce Underwood is he did not play as well as I would have hoped for him to play in this game against Michigan State to give me more confidence in him. But I just think he is a game changer with his athleticism, his mobility. Even if he's not throwing the ball well, I think his receivers have gotten much, much better. I think if you're judging Michigan based on the Oklahoma game, I think that you're looking at a very outdated Michigan team, in my opinion. I think that Bryce Underwood is a different quarterback right now. I think he's playing with a different kind of confidence. And if you want to say the USC game, I hear you, but I almost think the USC game is kind of like not who they actually were. And I almost could say that about USC against Illinois. And I could probably say that about Washington against Michigan, right? Like, I just think there's some times when you go on the road in the Big Ten with as much travel as there is, I think sometimes we do not give teams enough credit for how hard it is to go on the road. Not just the travel, but going to the USC, going to Washington, I don't think anybody gives Ohio State enough credit for going on the road to Washington and holding Washington to 6 points. Do you see what they did to Illinois today? Like, we'll talk about them in a second. That offense looks really, really good. Jonah Coleman looks really good. Damon Williams, like Denzel Boston was fighting injury there the entire second half. And every time he came back in, he made a play. So I think it's really, really tough to win on the road in the Big Ten, especially when you're traveling cross country like that. And so I personally don't ding teams as much when that happens.
Yeah.
I can understand if you want to say Michigan at 6 because they lost to USC, and you want to say, well, USC lost to Illinois. I get that, but I also think if you're going to honor the Michigan loss to USC, I think you need to honor the USC loss to Illinois as well. But that's just me.
Yeah. I think one of the difficulties as we continue to progress in the season too is that there's more data. So like, I think it was the line that Bubba asked about Illinois behind SC. You have to remember, Illinois has lost 3 games. And now they've lost to an unranked team, which Washington should not be unranked. We've been banging the drum for that for weeks now, maybe months. But the fact that Illinois lost to a really good team today. but they still lost, and they still lost to a team that's not in the same stratosphere, quite honestly, as Indiana and Ohio State. So like that changes the calculus. SC has, they lost by 10 to a really good Notre Dame team. And I'm trying to remember who their other loss was. Who was their other loss?
Illinois, Ohio
Oh,
State,
yeah.
Indiana.
Yeah, it's Illinois. Gosh.
Oh.
Sorry. I completely forgot. Yes, Illinois and then Notre Dame, but they also have a win over Michigan. They have I'm trying to remember what their record is in conference. If you can't tell, I am fading.
You're good.
So, but yeah, I just think SC has 2 losses, Illinois has 3. I would argue that SC has the better win over Michigan, although Illinois has the win over SC. But there's just more data points.
Well, and they're talking in the chat about like, well, this loss looked worse than this loss, and that loss looked worse than that loss. And I think we also need to understand here that when we're doing this is like power rankings are not resume rankings. We take the resume into account somewhat, like we were just talking about what best win, Iowa, Oregon, that comes into account somewhat. But for the most part, we're trying to say who is the better team right now. Who would we pick on a neutral field to win that game? And right now, I feel like, not going on the road, being on a neutral field, Michigan's the top 4 team in the Big Ten, in my opinion. Because I don't think one game defines an entire team, right? If one game defined an entire team, then Ohio State losing to Oregon last year or Ohio State losing to Michigan last year would have ended their season, right? But in this new era of college football, you can lose 2 games and still go to the playoffs and win it all. Now, I'm not trying to say that Michigan, USC, or Iowa's going to go and win it all or anything like that, but I am saying that, like, I don't think one loss defines everything for you. I think you have to look at the players and who they are. And right now, like, I get people aren't super high on Bryce Underwood. I like the game-changing ability that he has. I like the mobility. I like what he brings to the table to be able to change games. I think he changed part of that game in the Washington game there late. I think that was huge for them. And I think he made some plays in that Nebraska game to help as well. However, you would say that was probably more the Michigan defense than anything else.
I think you could make an argument that the teams that are 3 through 8 in our power rankings are probably all similar. In that I think there's a lot of parity. I know that word feels like a dirty word, but it seems like there's a lot of parity.
You wouldn't include Nebraska in that? Nebraska?
Yeah, I might. Not Minnesota.
I don't understand your Minnesota ranking of Maryland. So anything on Washington, Illinois, Nebraska. I still have Minnesota over Nebraska. You have Minnesota behind Nebraska and Maryland. So I think that's probably our next place to go.
Yeah, I don't think the Nebraska loss to Minnesota is indicative. Like that felt like the typical Nebraska oopsie that they avoided today, which I was proud of them for doing that.
But is it typical that Nebraska only has one oopsie? That's my thing. Like, I'm willing to give some credit to like Michigan and Washington and Illinois. Maybe I'm giving them too much credit. But in Nebraska's past, it feels like there's more than one oopsie.
I think you're right. But do I compare that to Minnesota, who obviously beat Nebraska, but they have more losses? They lost to Cal. And like Cal is...
But again, redshirt freshman quarterback on the road early in the season.
But I think they lost to Cal. They got blanked by Ohio State, and they got blanked by
Iowa.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, my brain's not working. I'm sorry. You're having me make arguments about teams where like I might as well just be like,
I know it's 11:30 at night. You're cooked, man.
Yeah,
it's 11:30 at night. And you're trying to.
This is why you do this. It's not for power rankings. You just want to make a fool out of me. This is I know how you work, JR. This is bold moves. No, I
I
I
guess
yeah.
I can understand the skepticism of Minnesota. Personally, for me, it's too early to rank Nebraska above Minnesota. Minnesota just had a huge win over them. I know that the Nebraska fans and Matt Rule will say, "Oh, we just overlooked them. We didn't think about them. We didn't play." Well, that's on you, Nebraska, that you are going to allow yourself to go into another team's stadium and you're going to overlook that team. I'm sorry. I can't I can't pick you to be above another team in the power rankings when just a week ago you overlooked that team and you got blanked by them,
Yep.
right? So, and maybe I should be holding Michigan to the same standard. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, I think this is what makes this hard is you're trying to nitpick inconsistencies. And which inconsistencies do you value more than others?
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, it all comes down to coaching.
Yeah. I will say this about Minnesota. I actually really like Minnesota. I think they're much better than people give them credit for. But I think the thing that kills them is that when they've lost, they've really lost. And that's going to be clipped and be like, well, of course they really lost. But my point is that there's no doubt that they were the weaker team. I mean, and we see Ohio State's done this to a lot of teams this year, but Minnesota felt like a JV team playing Ohio State. And that's not meant to disrespect Minnesota. But I don't know if I get that vibe from Nebraska, even though they lost to Nebraska or lost to Minnesota.
Yeah. I mean, if Nebraska can fix a few different things, if they can fix their O line, I mean, they were better today, I guess, against Northwestern, but it's not hard to be better than 9 sacks. So, yeah. That's a good point there, Ryan.
Yeah, this is really why I put Nebraska 9th.
There you go. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
I'm trying to defend it logically. It's
You
not.
have a couple more here, and then we'll get out of here. You have Maryland above Minnesota. What's your thoughts there?
I don't know how I this is honestly, and Maryland was on a bye. I honestly don't know what to make of Maryland because, and particularly their losses, because if you lined up Maryland and Minnesota tomorrow on a neutral field, I'm picking Maryland. But I think what's hard, so they lost at home to a really good Washington team. They better be in the top 25 tomorrow. I will riot if they're not in the top 25
Oh,
tomorrow.
Washington's not going to be in the top 25.
You don't think Washington's going to be in the top 25? After
No.
beating a top 25 team by 17?
Because they were at home, and
people are stupid. And
I'm telling you, it's not going to happen.
We need to fire AP voters into the sun. I'm so just done with it.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
They're going to put Auburn in or somebody. Not Auburn. I'm just making
I was say if they put Auburn in, man, forget the NCAA stink shirts. We need the AP poll stink shirts.
Like 10 or 11. I think there were 11 5-2 teams are better in the Big Ten, and only 5 of them were in the top 25.
Yeah. Anyway, Maryland beat a really
Mississippi State is going to get in the top 25 before Washington does, and they're 4-4.
They're not getting in. Not with
they're not
getting
in this week, but I'm saying they would get in before Washington.
I hate.
Not that I think they should. I'm just saying that's what the AP voters would do.
SEC bias is crap. Anyway, they had a tough 3-game stretch with Washington, Nebraska, and at UCLA. And I think that people are going to look at the UCLA loss today and be like, oh, it was a mirage. Like I saw someone saying, how could Penn State lose to UCLA? It's like, guys, let's not overreact.
Travel.
Yeah.
Injured linebackers.
Right. Let's not overreact. Like Indiana does this to teams that are not as skilled, right? The way that Curt Cignetti coaches. So Maryland, I think they've had 3 very tough losses to 3 teams, two teams that are very good and are going to go to bowl games and might end up ranked in the top 25 or and better. And one of these teams that they lost to was on the road and they had nothing to lose. And so I don't know. Like I think I just trust Maryland right now a little bit more than Minnesota.
I could not disagree more. I mean, I do not trust Maryland at all. When you give up fourth quarter leads like that, they tied it 17-7 with like a minute left in that game at UCLA, and the defense, the part of this team that I trusted the most, the defense lets them just drive down the field and get a field goal. Targeting penalties galore. Like I know I've said on here that some of that stuff is just like, chance stuff. I don't necessarily hold it against the coaching staff as much, but it is pretty consistent. It does happen a lot. So I don't know. And I think when you're in the Big Ten, if you want to be up around the middle of the Big Ten, you have to win your home games. And Maryland squandered a home game against Washington where they were up by 20 points and a home game against Nebraska when they were up by 10.
Mm.
Nebraska doesn't do that to anybody, but they did against Maryland. So, sorry, Maryland fans. I do not hate you. I ranked you at one point.
Mm-hmm.
I just want you to be good because I like Malik Washington.
Yeah. I think you make good points. And like I said, I am not like, as I'm defending Maryland, I'm not there. It's not 100-0. It's like more like 53-47, like 53 Minnesota, or no, 53 Maryland, 47 Minnesota.
Wow. High scoring game.
No. Like
I know.
Percentages. Don't do this to me, JR. I'm like, yeah.
I'm messing with you. Well, we are pretty much in agreement in our bottom six. I do have Maryland down there. You have UCLA down there instead. And then Rutgers, Penn State, Michigan State, Purdue, Wisconsin. That's pretty much where we're at. Anything else on the power rankings you want to bring up, Zach?
Nope.
All right. Well, very good. Thanks everybody for being here. We appreciate it. We're going to head out after this. I'm going to do my performance ratings tiers after this, and then going to try to do some single like one-off videos this week about Big Ten teams and what they got going for them and stuff like that. Going to see if you guys like that kind of stuff. So if you're an Iowa fan, I'm planning to do one on you. Let's see. What else do I have? I have Ohio State, Michigan. I'm planning to do one on. Basically, the teams that win, I'm going to try and do kind of like a what's going on well for this team type of video. Excellent. And we'll see how it goes.
That's great.
All right, everybody. Hey, we appreciate you being here. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, 5-star rating, review. Quick thing that I do need to bring up. Ohio State number 1 in the conference odds right now on FanDuel, -155. Indiana's +175, and then a big drop off from there. Oregon is +1,200.
Interesting.
So, yeah, very much so. The odds agree with us on FanDuel. Ohio State, Indiana, the top two. Ohio State is favored, but looking about that way. I want to see the Heisman odds really fast. Ty Simpson still has odds to win the Heisman over Julian Sain. That is insane. I don't see what people see in him, dude.
He's good.
He's good, but he's not Heisman good.
Well, I think part of the problem, there is no good Heisman candidate right now. The best.
I disagree. Fernando Mendoza is.
Yes. No. Sorry, but even that.
There's no good one from the SEC, is what you meant.
No. I think Mendoza had a good. He had a solid game against Oregon in his marquee matchup, which should be a big deal. But I think people are stat watching, and that's not right. And he's also from Indiana, which is not right. But
you're saying that they look at him that he's from Indiana, and that's not right. That they look at him and say he's from Indiana.
It's not right that they're like, well, Indiana's a nice story, but it's like, no, like Mendoza saying, and honestly, it stinks that neither of them had the preseason hype that like Jeremiah Smith did, because as good as Jeremiah Smith is, he's not going to win it because he just doesn't command the attention like quarterbacks do.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I do not give out betting advice very often on here, but I just had a random thought while we were going through this. If you are going to bet on Ohio State or Indiana, which I'm not, telling you to do, but if that is so your inclination, you probably want to parlay that with their quarterback to win the Heisman. Because right now it looks like whoever wins the Big Ten championship, the Heisman is probably that quarterback's for the taking, I would say.
Yep.
I mean, don't you think that most likely the winner of the Big Ten, their quarterback, as long as everything kind of sticks with where it's at, most likely wins the Heisman?
Yeah, I think especially if both teams end up undefeated and it's a 1-2 matchup and you have that storyline, I think that really will help.
Yeah, I agree. And if you want to, just go in and throw in there like the undefeated record too, I guess, on FanDuel if you wanted to. But yeah, I'm not gonna get that deep into it.
Yep.
A two odds parlay is about as deep as I get. So there you go. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. We'll be back tomorrow night with most impressive part of every Big Ten win. Get a go back, watch, see what we got, and Zach and I will give the most impressive part of each Big Ten win, and then of course we'll comment on the other team as well and what went on there. So thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Have a good one.